Welcome to the Harbor Freight Tools for Schools learning module on Listening to Your Customer. This video features the mother and son duo of Arvette and Jarren Reid from Burke, Virginia. The Reid family builds upon our skilled trades education opinion research conducted by NORC, a nonpartisan polling organization at the University of Chicago, listening to the voices of the main customers in high school, your students and their parents. We invited Jarren, a rising senior with a passion for music, fitness, and cars, to share a little about how taking a skilled trades course in high school has impacted his life. His mother, Arvette Reid, discusses her perspective as a parent of two students with professional interests as varied as cooking, engineering, and automotive technology. She describes how teachers and her local public schools have provided valuable access to high-quality classes in support of those interests. We hope this module will inspire you to consider ways that you might in turn engage your own students and families for feedback about their needs and experiences as you continue to shape your practice as a teacher. Just like in round one, there's also a brief reading on the same topic for you to review, reflect, and respond.
I expect teachers to be effective communicators. I consider an adequate teacher a teacher who can relate with any student despite how they learn. Some students learn by books, some learn by video, some learn by doing, and some teachers can't adapt to that. They only teach one way. So the students who don't learn in that certain way tend to not do well in that class. So my idea of a perfect teacher would be someone who can teach in any way to make all their students engaged, no matter whether that be projects, some books, some learn by doing, just aspects of everything to allow all students, despite how they learn effectively and work effectively in the classroom.
I've always taught Jarren that he needs to self-advocate for himself, right? Like it is his responsibility to communicate with his teachers. And if he has questions or if there's a grade or something that he doesn't understand, that he needs to have that relationship. And what I've noticed over the years is that some teachers really open up to that idea and they have a good communication between Jarren and the teacher. So Jarren feels respected, heard, understood. And once again, it's not about getting his way. It's about being treated and respected as the student who in the classroom is trying to learn from the teacher, right? Which is different than some of the other teachers that he's had, where I felt like that teacher was checking a box and Jarren felt like that teacher was checking a box.
My favorite teachers and teachers that are still in my memory from years ago were all teachers who would ask me about external things, just how my life is going, and we could build connections outside of school, right? Because school in general, most students don't like going to school. So if a teacher is only conversating, connecting with their students through the classwork and the grades and the school itself, most students are not going to actually have a connection with their teachers. It's through external connections. Even if you play if your students play a sport, right, and you just talk to them about the sports they're playing or their game, how their game went, that's just building an external connection where a student can have something else to connect on. It just builds stronger relationships between teachers and students, and you can connect on other aspects of life and outside of school. If a teacher and a student have a strong relationship, that student is going to feel more comfortable even asking a question where they might not have asked before. If that student needs help before, they could have felt nervous to go to a teacher who they don't know and they don't have a relationship with. Whereas if they're comfortable with that teacher and look at them more as a companion, they're not going to feel scared when they need to ask for help. It'll benefit the students' learning and just the overall environment of the classroom.
I prefer when teachers realize that these are teenagers, but they're also teenagers who have opinions and need to be treated with respect, right? If family members are teaching them how to think for themselves and have opinions and learn how to state, I also expect a teacher to be able to respect that. And it doesn't mean that the child is always going to be right, but to be able to listen and then give feedback to the student in a way that is respectful of the age bracket that you're in. I think that's very important because teenagers don't like to be dismissed. And it doesn't matter what classroom you're in. So you have to learn how to have that open dialogue with them. And that's what keeps them motivated because they feel heard and then they can move on and keeps them motivated. But if they feel shut down, no teacher should want a kid that feels shut down in their classroom.
Obviously, all teachers are going to be more knowledgeable in the subject they're teaching than all of their students, right? But when a teacher fails to collaborate with their students, it can make students feel, I guess, belittled in a way, because we're never meeting the expectation of the teacher, right? We're never being as good as the teacher because we obviously aren't educated as much as the teacher. So when a teacher can create a collaborative environment where they work with the students and they help all the students, they work for the betterment of the students, it makes the students learn more effectively because they can connect with their teacher and actually understand topics and ask questions and work collaboratively. It benefits the whole learning environment because everyone is working together. And I think, in my opinion, that's how people learn better, is when we're all working together and bouncing ideas off each other. And the teacher can work with us and not just grade us and tell us to do something and we all do it. So in the past, some of my best teachers, when introducing a new topic, they've, before they've even said anything, they've asked us what we know about that given topic. So the students, like as a whole, start bouncing ideas off each other, and the teacher will jot them down on the whiteboard, right? And we'll do this for a little while until everyone's ideas are expressed and the class has expressed everything that they know about the given subject. So by then, everyone's minds are, they're running, like all the brain juices are flowing. And then the teacher, after we brainstorm for a little bit, will start introducing the topic. And I think that helps the students understand and, I guess, become more involved and engaged, because like we're physically involved in the lesson. Like, so we're not just being lectured, we're more like creating, or like, I don't know how to word this. Like, we're putting forth our own ideas together instead of just being lectured.
I think one of the things that a school can do is put together a campaign where they get maybe 5 adults that are in trade and have been very, very successful, and put together some kind of campaign targeting the parents. Because even if the children are interested, sometimes it's the parents who are pushing them away from it because they don't know the benefit, right? So you could have the guidance counselors put together a campaign email. You could have on the parent orientation nights, when they have the elective nights. There's lots of ways to get the message out, but I do agree that you have to target the parent. Critical thinking skills, you need to learn them, and it doesn't matter how you learn them and where you learn them. So the same idea of how to solve a problem you're going to learn in auto tech as you're going to learn in geometry. I think the role of education and the system is to create better citizens of the world, period. You want to get people out of their homes, send them off wherever they're going, work, college, travel, military, whatever it is. You want them to be better citizens of the world. And the best way to do that is to teach them critical thinking skills while they're in high school, to teach them how to communicate with other people effectively, especially people that are not like them.
In auto tech, my tests were working with other people to solve a problem, right? It wasn't a single test sitting down by myself filling in answers. I was graded on my ability to work with other people and solve a problem, which forces everyone. If you want to get a good grade, that forces you to effectively communicate. And I think that really pushed everyone, introvert, extrovert, out of their comfort zone. And we were forced to work together to solve this problem, or else we would have got Fs. I put a lot of work into my own car, and a lot of money and time into working with it. And that's a hobby for me, but I wouldn't have been able to do that if I hadn't learned from my experience in auto tech. So whatever trade course that they take, no matter what it be, the skills they learn, they can apply to any aspect of their life, whether it be just normal problem solving skills or trying to figure things out or just new fields to explore. It'll help them overall.
Counselors need to also encourage during those electives, when you sit down with the students about electives, they need to also talk about trade electives with the college-bound academic students, not just the academic electives. I think it starts there. When the teachers in the school that are the trade teachers, people know who they are, they too need to go out of their way to get to know students who they may not normally see in their classes. And maybe actually, think off the top of the head, one of the good ideas would be, while in the trade classes, put public speaking as part of the trade class, right? So the kids in the trade class should be able to stand up and talk about the classes they're taking, why they like them, and what they want to do, because that just prepares them for when they're on the street, at a family reunion, at a football game. Some conversation may come up and they need to be able to talk about what they do.
An amazing idea would actually be allowing students to perhaps substitute that physical education period for a skilled trades period, or at least have maybe a grad requirement for 1 year skilled trades, or providing students who want to take a skilled trades course to have the ability to do so without it taking up their APs, whether that be like either that being time before school or after school. If that student really wants to take that course, they should be allowed to do so. So I think there are multiple different approaches, and I personally don't know which one would work the best, whether that be extending the schedule to allow students to take it, or replacing, for instance, the PE requirement with a trades requirement, or just allowing students to swap them without it being a requirement in general. I think all three could potentially prompt more students to actually take trade courses and more students to become involved in those courses.